Hi, and thank you for visiting my channel. For more information, kindly subscribe and follow. Now let's get started.
Women's World Champion Iyo Sky has something stuck in her craw. Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair's lack of respect towards her. Sky could change that next week on Raw. WWE is currently on its Europe tour on the road to WrestleMania 41. Last night in Glasgow, Scotland, the Monday Night Show's general manager, Adam Pearce, stopped Sky, Ripley, and Belair from brawling again before making a game-changing announcement. The Eradicator will get her rematch next week against the champion, and the winner will face the EST at the Show of Shows next month. This is exactly what Rhea Ripley wanted since her unprecedented loss to Iyo Sky on the Raw after Elimination Chamber a few weeks ago. On Instagram, Ripley dropped a selfie with a one-word message. Based on the build-up over the last weeks, many ascertained that the WrestleMania title match would be a triple threat. It remains to be seen whether WWE will go in that direction or book a definitive winner next week. Jim Cornette predicts WWE superstar Rhea Ripley's future. Breaking away from the Judgment Day, Rhea Ripley became more popular among fans than she already was. It happened at SummerSlam 2024 when Dominic Mysterio chose Liv Morgan over her. Wrestling veteran Jim Cornette wondered on his drive-thru podcast whether WWE is considering a heel turn for the Eradicator. Cornette backed up this possibility with Bianca Belair, another favorite through the lens of the masses. The veteran believes Ripley could work as a heel against the EST if their program continues past WrestleMania 41. "I'm truthfully almost thinking that they might be about to turn her, Ripley, heel to work with Bianca coming out of this," he said. Meanwhile, Bianca Belair has been ejected from the intense rivalry on SmackDown between her former tag team partners, Jade Cargill and Naomi. Some feel the EST could eventually be revealed as the mastermind, turning her into a villain. Would you rather see Ripley or Belair work as a heel against the other? Hit the discuss button and sound off. The WWE Universe was left in shock after an explosive Monday Night Raw that featured a major shakeup in the landscape of the women's division. But perhaps no one had a more powerful reaction than Rhea Ripley herself. Following a game-changing announcement that sent shockwaves through the locker room, the Women's World Champion took to social media with a single, ominous word. "Finally." The cryptic message immediately set fans into a frenzy, fueling speculation about what exactly the Eradicator meant. Was she thrilled? Threatened? Or was this the beginning of something even bigger for her reign? As Raw went off the air, all eyes were on Ripley, and the WWE Universe was left scrambling for answers. The night began with a sense of anticipation, as rumors had been swirling that Adam Pearce had a major update regarding the women's division. The Judgment Day had already established themselves as the most dominant faction in WWE, with Ripley reigning supreme as champion. But even she seemed taken aback when Pearce stepped into the ring and delivered his bombshell announcement. A Women's World Championship tournament was being introduced, with the winner earning an undisputed title match at Survivor Series. And to make matters even more shocking, the tournament would include top-tier stars from both Raw and SmackDown. For weeks, Ripley had been dealing with challengers within Raw, including Becky Lynch, Raquel Rodriguez, and Zoe Stark. But now, she was about to have an entirely new wave of challengers coming after her title. Names like Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair, and Asuka suddenly entered the conversation, turning her championship reign into an even bigger target. As the WWE Universe erupted in excitement, the camera cut to Rhea Ripley backstage. Standing in Judgment Day's locker room, her face betrayed little emotion, just a smirk as she crossed her arms and watched the announcement unfold. But later, when she took to social media, her response spoke volumes. Finally. Fans immediately began dissecting Ripley's one-word message. Some speculated that she was welcoming the challenge, eager to prove that she could take on any competitor, no matter where they came from. Others believed it was a sign that she was tired of waiting for a true challenger, someone worthy of stepping up to her level. But a select few pointed out something even more intriguing. What if Ripley's post wasn't just about the tournament? What if she knew something the rest of the WWE Universe didn't? That theory gained traction when an even bigger twist emerged. As Raw continued, a backstage segment added another layer of intrigue. As Judgment Day celebrated their recent victories, Ripley received a text message. She glanced at her phone, and for the briefest moment, her smirk faded. Without saying a word, she got up and left the room, leaving Dominic Mysterio and Finn Balor exchanging confused glances. Moments later, the WWE Universe got their answer. As the night's main event wrapped up, the crowd erupted as Liv Morgan's music hit. The former SmackDown Women's Champion, who had been out of action for months due to injury, stormed down the ramp, eyes locked on Ripley. The two had history, brutal history. It was Ripley who had injured Morgan in the first place, ruthlessly attacking her shoulder in a violent backstage assault. Now, Liv was back, and judging by the fire in her eyes, she was out for revenge. Ripley, standing in the ring, didn't flinch. Instead, she grinned. Her tweet suddenly made sense. She wasn't just talking about the tournament. She had been waiting for this, waiting for Liv to come back, waiting for someone to step up with true, unfiltered rage. Morgan slid into the ring, going nose-to-nose with the champion. The tension was palpable. Then, without warning, she threw a hard slap across Ripley's face. The arena gasped. Ripley wiped her jaw, her smirk growing even wider. The fight was on. With the tournament looming and Liv Morgan making her shocking return, the road to Survivor Series had taken a drastic turn. Ripley's championship reign was no longer just about Judgment Day's dominance, it was about surviving wave after wave of challengers, all gunning for her gold. But if her response was anything to go by, Rhea Ripley was more than ready. One word. One statement. One champion standing her ground. Finally, Rhea Ripley did something every 30 seconds on Raw that was shockingly bad, notices WWE veteran, exclusive. Fan expectations are sky high as WWE continues on its Europe tour on the road to WrestleMania 41. However, Rhea Ripley's selling was amongst the many issues that wrestling veteran Vince Russo noticed from another confusing women's segment. The Women's World Championship storyline is currently at a perplexing juncture as Bianca Belair, the Elimination Chamber winner, doesn't know who she will face at WrestleMania 41. Rhea Ripley tried to force her way into the match, but Adam Pearce was having none of it and booked Rhea and Sky's title rematch for next week's Raw. The bout was booked after another segment between the three women on this week's show, which predictably ended in another brawl. For starters, Vince Russo, while speaking on Legion of Raw, didn't know who to cheer for between Sky, Belair, and Ripley, as WWE had not done anything to clearly define each character. He was even more shocked to see Rhea Ripley overselling and bumping for moves that probably hurt her image and aura. The former WWE head writer called out the promotion for what they were doing with the Australian superstar while also picking out the problems with the three-way program. If I'm watching that whole thing, I'm just going to be honest with you, I don't know who I'm going to be booing or cheering for anymore. I really don't when there's no clear-cut person whose corner I'm in. Guess what that equates to? I don't care. My God, bro, the selling they are having Rhea Ripley do is blowing me away. She was bumping every 30 seconds out there and I was like, what are they doing with her, man? From 40:30 onwards. Rhea Ripley will have another chance to become the Women's World Champion when she faces Io Sky on the next edition of WWE Raw in London. Interestingly, Bianca Belair will be the special guest referee for the bout. Monday Night Raw is never short on drama, but this past episode left a certain WWE veteran shaking his head in disbelief. The Judgment Day's dominant force, Rhea Ripley, is known for her commanding presence and brutal in-ring style. However, according to an exclusive source close to WWE, the Women's World Champion did something every 30 seconds on Raw that was shockingly bad, and it wasn't just a one-time slip-up. The Judgment Day drama unfolds. Raw opened with the Judgment Day making their way to the ring, Ripley leading the charge as usual. As the faction's de facto leader, she grabbed the mic and addressed the growing tensions within their ranks. Damian Priest, the World Heavyweight Champion, stood beside her, still frustrated with recent Judgment Day missteps. Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio listened, but the strain was evident. Ripley, trying to rally her team, repeated a crucial mistake that didn't go unnoticed by a WWE veteran watching from backstage. I was watching closely, and every 30 seconds, Rhea did something that was shockingly bad, the veteran revealed in an exclusive statement. At first, I thought it was just nerves or maybe part of the storyline, but it kept happening, and it completely took away from the moment. What was the mistake that had this WWE veteran so concerned? It was a combination of overuse of mic cues, unnecessary pauses, and a distracting habit that weakened her presence. Breaking down Rhea Ripley's mistake. Throughout her promo, Ripley continuously pointed at herself and shook her head in an exaggerated manner every 30 seconds, without fail. The motions were meant to emphasize her authority, but instead, they became distracting. Rhea has an incredible presence, but when you overdo certain body language cues, they lose their impact. Every time she spoke, she'd point at herself or shake her head dramatically. By the fourth or fifth time, it felt unnatural. But that wasn't all. According to our source, Ripley's delivery of the promo was filled with too many pauses, likely to allow the crowd to react. However, instead of enhancing the segment, it made her seem unsure. Pauses are great when used correctly, but if you do it too often, it kills the momentum. Rhea stopped every 30 seconds to let the crowd react, and it just didn't flow well. It wasn't the usual Ripley confidence. Furthermore, the veteran pointed out that Ripley was adjusting her title belt far too frequently. While champions often reposition their titles to showcase them on camera, Ripley kept shifting the belt on her shoulder every half minute, making it seem like she was uncomfortable or distracted. Backstage reaction to Rhea's performance. Backstage, there were mixed reactions to Ripley's promo. Some WWE officials reportedly felt she still commanded the segment, while others agreed that her frequent gestures made her seem less authoritative than usual. Rhea is a natural leader in Judgment Day, but last night, it felt like she was trying too hard to emphasize her role. The constant head shaking, the belt adjustments, and the pauses made it feel rehearsed instead of natural. Even some of her stablemates reportedly noticed her shift in energy. Damian Priest, who has been in his own struggles with the Judgment Day, was seen looking away at certain points, almost as if sensing the segment was losing momentum. Dominic Mysterio, usually glued to Ripley's side, had to improvise some of his own reactions to keep the segment engaging. The bigger picture, is Rhea Ripley feeling the pressure? One possible explanation for Ripley's uncharacteristic mistakes is the mounting pressure on her as one of WWE's biggest stars. Since winning the Women's World Championship at WrestleMania, she has been the centerpiece of Raw's women's division. With every week, more responsibility is placed on her shoulders. It's possible that Rhea is just feeling the weight of being the top female act on Raw. She's in every major Judgment Day segment, she has to help carry the storylines, and she has a massive title reign to uphold. That pressure can make you second-guess yourself, and sometimes that shows in the smallest ways, like unnecessary body language habits. This wouldn't be the first time a top WWE star has struggled under the spotlight. Even legends like John Cena, Becky Lynch, and Roman Reigns have adjusted their delivery over time to avoid overusing certain cues. Despite the critiques, there's no doubt that Ripley remains one of WWE's most dominant figures. The Judgment Day storyline is only intensifying, and with Survivor Series around the corner, Ripley is likely gearing up for a high-stakes match. However, the veteran who pointed out her mistakes believes she'll learn from this and make the necessary changes. She's got all the tools, charisma, in-ring ability, the look. This was just a hiccup. If she recognizes it, she can tweak those habits and come back stronger next week. It will be interesting to see if Ripley adjusts her delivery on the next episode of Raw. Will she dial back the frequent gestures? Will she allow her natural intensity to shine without over-relying on pauses? One thing's for sure, whether Rhea Ripley is making mistakes or not, she has everyone talking. And in WWE, that's never a bad thing.